Okay, so we're back. This week, what are we going to be talking about? I want to talk about something, and I actually wrote about this in a blog post a couple weeks back, but I finally got around to actually doing the thing I'd said I would do, and turns out following my own advice actually ended up working, and yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today, because I want you to follow my advice and do this because it will greatly help, you reshift your priorities and also your mindset to getting done the things that need to be done and the things that are important to you, you know what I mean? So, what was it? A couple of weeks back, I talked about how I'd essentially completed all of my medium-term goals. So, rewind 3 to 4 years ago, I had a bunch of goals that I wanted to accomplish. One was, get onto the biostats training program, which is where I work now, and then another one was to, buy my own place where I could, live and have my own kind of stuff and my own kind of, sanctuary and, shit like that. And so those were like two major goals for me. And also to, get my Masters of Biostatistics, which I'm well and truly on the way to finishing. Only got one more semester and 2 more units, so by the end of the year I'll be done, which is awesome. But, so fast forward to now, and I've essentially, like I said, I've completed pretty much all of those things. I got into the training program, I bought my own apartment, I've almost finished my Masters in Biostatistics, so I've ticked off pretty much all the major things that I wanted to get done, that I set a timeline of 3 to 4 years ago, all the way back then. And it was kind of weird because and the way I described it was like a victor's malaise, where I won, I accomplished everything and I won what I wanted, but then I had this hollow feeling, well, not hollow feeling, but this feeling of but what now, kind of feeling. And I feel like for quite a while I've been a little bit lost on what to do. I have very long-term goals. We're talking, lifetime kind of stuff, 10, 15, 20 years we're talking about. And I definitely have short-term goals, but I think that's what I was missing I'd say I'd had short-term goals, but they were very poorly defined. But the thing I kind of was completely solely missing was medium-term goals. And that's a problem because, short-term's obviously important because it gives you in the next 12 months, these are the things I want to accomplish. So they usually tend to be a lot more, a lot more achievable. They're usually more of a step along the way to something like your medium-term goals, which is, 3 to 4 years and stuff. Whereas your long-term goals are, let's just say 5+ years, which, that's more of a lifetime, your lifetime you're moving towards that. And what I did the other day was essentially, and this is the thing I love about it, was all I needed was a pen and paper. So 50 cents worth of investment into monetary wise into, figuring out everything. And with a friend, because I decided to, I did it with a friend, or someone really close to me. We went through step by step. One, we went through, really defined my short-term goals. Every single one of them, we listed everything that needs to get done. Some of them are requirements. So for instance, my brother's getting married in October and he's nominated me as the best man. So there's a bunch of things I've got to get done for that to, to make the wedding all good and everything, and, to make it a special day. So they're things, they're not necessarily my goal. It wasn't my goal to be my brother's best man, but it's that's the responsibility I've got, so that needs to be achieved. And so and then there was other things that obviously are, specific to me, or mean a lot more to me personally, because they're my individual drivers. But the other thing is we clearly defined the short-term goals, and then we moved on to the medium-term goals, because we could have gone on to long-term, but this whole session took an hour or two to do. So and I think that's the thing. It's like it is a time consuming activity, but it's an important one, because if you don't spend the time to at least somewhat plan what your actions are over the next year, and then when you're thinking medium term, 3 to 4 years, then I think you're going to be going a little bit of a wayward passage down through your life where, like I said, you're not going to have much direction and meaningfulness, because you won't be accomplishing the things that truly matter to you. And that's where I moved on to the medium term goals and started to really write down what I wanted to get done in 3 to 4 years. Like, what were the projects and achievements that I wanted to get done in that time, which I thought were, this is something that really is important to me, or it's something, or it's a way in which my most ideal self can manifest itself. Like this achieving this aim would align itself or align with my ideal vision of my life and who I want to be and what my values and beliefs are. Now, I've only had it for a week, and I'm still got to properly log them all in a format that makes more sense, because it's all just in kind of a big word cloud kind of thing, next to the titles of short and medium term goals. But wouldn't you know it, and this is the funniest thing, is a longtime friend of mine who I've talked to about this kind of stuff before, wasn't very responsive. I was a little bit forceful with it, but he was just it was one of those things where he didn't want to listen, or really wasn't keen on listening, so I just tried twice as hard to get my point across, but that didn't really change anything, because in the beginning he didn't want to listen at all, so it's I'm not really, he's deaf to my opinion at that point. But he eventually came up to me the other day and was talking to me about how he wanted to, help figure out things in his life and stuff like that. And I recommended that technique, and it's so simple. And when I think about it, it's something I did 3-4 years ago. How did I bloody forget to do that? But I think that's the thing. I was so focused on actually achieving the things that I forgot to revisit that kind of tool to realign and figure out what and reposition what I thought was most important to me and what was a priority. And having it now, and having that kind of almost mind map and vision of what I want, and having it in words is, I think, so important, because I think it's like that. It just gives you a plan, and I think that goes back to one of those old sayings where it's plans are useless, but planning is priceless, because plans themselves are predicated on assumptions, and due to changing circumstances, those assumptions may become no longer true, and so the plan kind of falls apart. But that's where it requires that constant planning, where you're constantly revising and updating these plans and these visions, so that you have a up-to-date map on where your life should be heading. I've recommended this tactic to him, or this tool to him, and I'm hoping that he goes back and uses it. He has started using another one of my techniques, or one of the techniques I've talked about on this channel, which is that daily kind of daily thoughts page, where you write out an A4 page of your thoughts. And he's only just started. It's only very new, and it's hard to tell if he'll continue that habit. But he did think that it was a good thing, and he was seeing progress. But it's just it depends if he holds it on forever, or continues it on in the long term. But yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say, is that going back and being honest with myself of what I wanted, but also just being ambitious with what I wanted, not. And that's the great thing about it, is you don't have to second guess yourself. You can be very upfront and don't and have no need to doubt yourself when you put these things down, because these are all things in the future. So you might be currently you might get into your head that, okay, yeah, I want to do this in 3 to 4 years or achieve this, but I'm nowhere near that now. It's that's not the thing. It's don't stress that you're not there now. It's about getting to that point in that time frame. So don't put yourself down or think that this isn't what I could accomplish. Be crazy with it, because it's you never know what you can do in those times. Because I never thought, rewind the clock back 3 to 4 years, I thought I would never be in this position. and now I am, and that's amazing. But then I also need to another thing I realized is I've thought getting and becoming a biostatistician would be the end point of my career, or like, the highlight. But I've now come to realize that it's just another stepping stone onto, the next on the path to wherever the rest of my life leads me. And I think that's the constant thing. It's like you need to figure out what that next stepping stone is, because it's never the end. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it's that old saying of like it's the journey that is really the important, not necessarily the destination. So yeah, that's my thoughts that I wanted to get out and send to you this week. So hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's like helpful and stuff like that. And if you liked it, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.